World War II's unthinkable death toll, the numbers that still haunt humanity. The dead of World War II don't stay buried in history books. They whisper through ruined cities, echo in mass graves, and stare back at us through numbers so large they almost feel unreal. Almost. Because behind every statistic was a life that ended too early. A family shattered. A future erased. And that's what makes World War II the deadliest conflict humanity has ever unleashed on itself. This is the scars of a global storm fronts, and today we're cutting straight into the raw truth. No warm-up, no soft landing, just the human cost of World War II, stripped of romance, stripped of myth, and told exactly as it was. A war that redefined death itself. World War II didn't just kill people. It redefined what mass death meant. Before it, wars were counted in thousands or millions. After it, the scale changed forever. An estimated 70 to 85 million people died between 1939 and 1945. That was roughly 3% of the entire world's population at the time. Let that sink in. Entire nations' worth of people vanished in just 6 years. What makes this even darker is that more than half of those deaths were civilians. World War II erased the old rule that wars were mainly fought by soldiers. Cities became battlefields, homes became targets, survival became a daily gamble. Europe carried the deepest scars. The continent became a killing ground where ideology, technology and hatred collided. The Soviet Union alone lost an estimated 27 million people. Not soldiers alone. Entire villages wiped off maps. Starvation used as a weapon. Civilians frozen, bombed, executed or worked to death. Germany lost around 6 to 7 million lives. Many were soldiers sent into impossible battles. Many others were civilians crushed under relentless bombing campaigns that turned cities into firestorms. Dresden, Hamburg, Berlin, names that still burn. Poland lost roughly 6 million people. Half of them were Jewish civilians murdered in an industrial-scale genocide that honestly still defies comprehension. This wasn't collateral damage. This was systematic extermination. Across Europe, World War II didn't just pass through. It consumed everything in its path. The Holocaust and the machinery of death. No discussion of World War II's death toll is honest without confronting the Holocaust. Approximately 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germany and its collaborators. Men, women, children and infants, shot in forests, gassed in camps, worked until their bodies collapsed. And Jews were not the only victims. Millions of others were targeted. Political opponents, disabled individuals, prisoners of war, civilians labelled undesirable. The Holocaust turned murder into a system complete with schedules, paperwork and quotas. This wasn't chaos, it was efficiency. And that's what makes it one of the darkest chapters in human history. Asia's forgotten inferno. While Europe burned, Asia was bleeding just as heavily. China suffered an estimated 15 to 20 million deaths during World War II. Civilians, you know, bore the brunt. Massacres, forced labour, famine triggered by occupation and scorched earth tactics. Japan lost around 3 million people. Many were soldiers sent into brutal island battles where surrender was not an option. Others were civilians killed by bombing raids that flattened entire cities in a single night. Then came Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 2 atomic bombs, over 100,000 people killed almost instantly. Many more died later from burns and radiation. World War II ended with a flash so bright it changed warfare forever. The air war and the death of cities. World War II, turned the sky into a weapon. Strategic bombing wasn't just about factories and railways, it was about morale, breaking the enemy by breaking their cities. London endured the Blitz. Tokyo burned in firebombing raids that killed more civilians than either atomic bomb. Entire neighborhoods vanished in just a few hours. Families suffocated in shelters. People jumped into rivers to escape flames. The message was clear. No one was safe. Not anymore. Soldiers on an industrial scale. Military deaths alone were staggering. Roughly 21 to 25 million soldiers died during World War II. Battles were no longer fought by small armies clashing on open fields. They were industrial operations powered by tanks, artillery, submarines, and aircraft. Entire divisions were erased in days. Stalingrad, Normandy, Okinawa. These weren't just battles, they were meat grinders. Young men were fed into the machine faster than they could be replaced. Training shortened, equipment rushed, lives spent like fuel. The numbers we can't fully count. Even today, World War II's death toll is not exact. Records were destroyed. Bodies were never recovered. Entire communities disappeared without documentation. Some deaths were slow and, invisible. Starvation, disease, exposure, forced marches, prison camps where, honestly, survival itself was rare. The true number may never be known. And maybe that's the most haunting part. Why these numbers still matter? World War II wasn't just a past event, it was a warning written in blood. The death toll shows what happens when ideology dehumanizes, when technology outpaces morality, and when violence becomes policy. These numbers aren't meant to shock you for a moment and then just fade away. They're meant to stay, to remind us how fast civilization can collapse, how thin the line really is. That's why we tell these stories here on the scars of a global storm fronts, not to glorify war, but to expose its true cost. If this episode gave you insight, if it made history feel real instead of, distant, subscribe to the channel, share this video, keep these stories alive, because forgetting is how it all starts again.